Senator Udall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to all of you. When I started serving on this committee 2 years ago, I determined early on that our surveillance laws needed reform. And since then, I've been proud to lead the fight along with Senator Wyden and others. And now that more details of the NSA's surveillance programs and their legal justifications have emerged, we're seeing a growing consensus. You hear it today on this committee that the status quo is unacceptable and that reforms are needed. And we've heard a lot of talk about rebuilding trust and creating more transparency. And we can rebuild trust with real reform. Senator White and I yesterday introduced comprehensive legislation that would drive real reform. And I look forward very much to our markup next week and to working with all the members of this committee. General Alexander, if I might turn to you initially, and the recently released documents that lay out the FISA Court's interpretation of relevance in the context of Section 215 to mean that the government can collect the phone records of millions of Americans on a daily, ongoing basis. If I could, I'd like to ask you three quick yes or no questions. Under the FISA Court's analysis, are there upper limits on the number of telephone records you can collect? Is it the goal of the NSA to collect the phone records of all Americans? And finally, do you believe that the court's analysis gives the NSA the authority to collect other kinds of bulk records in addition to telephone records? Again, if you could give me a yes or no answer to those three questions, I would appreciate it.
And I'm going to ask, because I'm not a lawyer, reading the opinion, I'll give you the answer, but I would ask the Deputy Attorney General to make sure that I say each of these exactly right, if we could. To my knowledge, there is no upper limit. No. I'm not sure what your second question was. I was trying to write that down. I got your third one.
Is it the goal of the NSA to collect the phone records of all Americans? You talk about building a haystack.
Yeah,
Do you want the haystack to be the ultimate size?
I believe it is in the nation's best interest to put all the phone records into a lockbox that we could search when the nation needs to do it, yes.
So we would collect all
and
those
the
records.
reason and the way we do it and the way we comply would ensure better security for this nation. So the oversight and compliance regime that we have is going to be key to that. And does this give us the authority to collect other records? Well, as I noted, footnote number 5, the court has said, hold off. If you want to do cell site data or plan to do that, you have to come back to the court. Did I answer those right?
Well, as you know, business records can be defined to be financial statements, utility bills. The list is a long list, and I think there's legitimate concern on the part of Americans as to what could be collected.
I think there is a legitimate concern, Senator, on that, and I think that the FISA Court 215 opinion doesn't allow any kind of record to be collected in bulk. If you look at the opinion, what it really hinges on is what it is we're looking for in the first place. This is what relevance ultimately goes to. To find the kinds of telephone calls between people who are reasonably believed to be involved in terrorist activities with certain organizations and the people who they're associated with, the court said the only reasonable way you can do that is by collecting all of these records so that you have that haystack to look through, and you only look through the parts you have reason to look at.
So would that...
There's lots of other kinds of records out there that you may not have that same kind of structure, and that you wouldn't be able to get the court to approve it because that same structure and necessity won't be present. So it's all going to rise and fall on the particular circumstances of the records and what you're looking for.
So you don't think the court has given the NSA the authority now to collect other bulk records?
It's given them the authority to collect other bulk records if they can show that it is necessary in order to find something relevant to a foreign intelligence investigation of particular types. But you're going to have to go through that showing. It's not just all bulk records, but it's also not no bulk records. It's all dependent on the purpose.
I may want to explore this later, at a later date, but I want to turn to General Clapper. In the spirit of transparency, General, would you agree to declassify the full history of the bulk collection program?
Not having read it,
I would like to take that for the record. I'd certainly look at that because I think as a general premise, we are pushing transparency and we will declassify as much as we can. But I'd rather read these documents and get some advice from a general counsel about it.
My time has run out. I have many, many more questions.
Thanks, Senator.